everybody. Thank you for rocking with me, sticking there. Today, I'm going to talk about some real stuff, okay? And you might agree, you might disagree with the subject I'm addressing, but it has to overall do with decisions. Now, this is coming from a perspective of what I seen yesterday with Vic Mensa and DJ Akademiks. I didn't talk about it right away because I knew everybody was going to have a certain perspective, but my perspective's a little different. And it goes on both sides of objectively looking at it, you know. Now, Vic Mensa let him know that don't be talking about my city, basically, in this interview. And it was twice he kind of mentioned it. Like the first time he briefly mentioned it, and he said, yeah, you know, kind of like what you do when DJ Akademiks started mentioning about people who make satire about it, which is exactly what he does do, is satire. So, I mean, ultimately, it wasn't wrong for him to mention it. And the reason I'm addressing it and speaking on it is because what people do on YouTube is something that they enjoy doing. It's what their passion is. My passion is perspectives and objective views and different things. Probably why I entertain the certain YouTubers and people before YouTube that I entertain, even on radio, because I like to look at it in many different perspectives. From DJ Akademiks' perspective, yes, I understand what he's saying. He's basically like, look, you know what I mean? You're saying this about me doing this, but, you know, he is making satire out of what's said in Chicago, which is serious about the killing, but the reasoning behind it, he's doing it, is a little different than most people. And I get that's what he's saying, even though at times it may look different and it may be indifferent to what the overall subject matter being addressed is. But ultimately, I do understand the perspective he's taking, where it has a lot to do with the fact he's like, well, you know, I'm doing this because I'm trying to make a change in a place where killing and things is normal, which is very absolutely true. It's a very normal thing, what's going on with the killing and the rampaging and just the overall savagery that's going on amongst people that's causing death and causing actually the genocide of the African American in Chicago at this moment. So it is a deep subject. So Vic Mensa also has a point in that same right. What I think should have happened, or would be better, is if DJ Akademiks said, well, how about me and you address a topic and, you know, we talk openly and we figure out a way to make it better, because that is true. DJ Akademiks has no charities in there that I know of, and he has no finances he's pushing into the city of Chicago, but he's making profit off of conversating about it in a negative way. Now, what I say is that I've done productions on what has happened, but when I speak about it, it's how sad it is and how we as African Americans need to get past the struggle. It's not about like, oh, look at these savages doing this and that to each other, because this is sad. This is people who I can identify with just off of visual appearance. So when in general, other races don't have this type of savagery, or if they do, it's not publicized how it is nowadays, then, you know, I really don't see the progression in the situation. That's what we need to do. We're not finding the progression in the situation, rather we're glorifying the ignorance. And that's exactly what Vic Mensa is saying and mentioning. So in that perspective, I really do understand where he's coming from, and I really get what he's trying to say about DJ Akademiks. Because if you think about it in that sense, it's almost like leaving people out to dry because you're making fun of it and we're all laughing, but a 12-year-old little girl got shot 5 times the other day, like he said. So it gets to the point where what defense can you really use when life is lost in the boundary and you're being addressed on the way that you're approaching it when you don't live in there and say you're never going there, and then he says you can never go there because of what you've done. It almost is like cutting off your finances and the progression you could make, because now they think you're making a joke, but you're defending it. Well, something has to give. On some side, there has to be an understanding, because these are the people living there. These are the people who are subject to the pain of losing life, are subject to the pain of what comes with being labeled a Chicago savage. And they're proud to be where they're from, so you really can't come out there and say, well, you know, you should feel this way. It's where he's from. It's what he's doing. You know what I mean? You can't approach it in that manner. It could be deadly. It could be dangerous. because he sees it as all disrespect to him. It's no longer a thing where we're looking and we're like, okay, is this really an issue, when we see that someone's in pain over it, and he's a famous rapper, so he has more money than most. He's hurting over it. So we can't glorify his pain. In that same sense, we have to look at how we approach this YouTube thing and spread the information, because if we got room to make change and what we're doing is glorifying the pain, we can't make a living off of someone else's pain. In a sense, he's like, yo, if you're going to do this, if you're going to do the satire, that's fine, but no more talking about how cool it is to be a Chiraq savage, or talking about Chiraq savagery and laughing afterwards, or playing on somebody who's a killer, because he really killed, if somebody really killed someone allegedly, it happened. What about that person's life that was lost? That's the whole thing. So it's not a game. It's not a joke. The genocide of our people is not a joke. And if you think of African-American genocide occurring now, if it was, let's say, the Jewish, if it was any other race of individual, how would they be addressing the situation? Would it be like us? Because part of what empowers it is that we have a culture that bigs up the evil and, let's say, the murderous thought pattern of our own culture that developed off of our own struggle and survival in our communities, and use it to profit. These are billion-dollar companies and individuals, producers, who make millions off of the fact of you killing each other, off of the speaking of you killing each other. So I get what Vic Mensa mentioned, the vulture mentality. I see that, what he means. Because if I made a few million off of what's going on over there, I better slide over there and try and make something better. Why am I here still making fun of it and talking about it if I'm not going to go over there and do something? So I understand that mentality. And I don't think DJ Akademiks understood that. I think he was from a position, well, this is what I do. People enjoy it. I can't get no love over there. Well, what are you doing over there? What are you giving over there? As you're speaking about it, what are you doing to progress it? We're just talking about news. Are you just a news anchor? Well, now you're showing up on these TV shows trying to talk to artists from that land. Like, what do you think's going to happen? You never been there? You said, I'm never going to be there. I'm not going to end up there. I watch your videos for a long time. You always joke how you never be in Chicago because of what's going on. But these people can't help it because they live there. So with that said, all the Chicago people, from my incidents with the T-Roy thing, rock with me. As I let you know, I made my edits and I did different things. But after watching this, I fully understand where everyone's coming from. And I hope that I'm going to step up and make progression instead of making financial gain off the situation. Thank you for rocking with me. Share, subscribe to everyone. You know how I rock. All rights reserved.